What's going on, everybody? Bobby O'Brien here. Today I got an awesome video for you, basically going over why resistance training beats cardio for weight loss. So right off the bat, I'm going to just say that cardio is beneficial. You certainly do get a boost in your endurance, you get a boost in your cardiovascular, health, right? You definitely reduce your risk for mortality with cardiovascular exercise. And if you're boosting your heart rate consistently, it's going to be beneficial for the body, right? Hands down. Now, it's just not a form of training that everybody enjoys. I certainly don't enjoy doing it. I do it every now and then. We all know that it's best to do both. But with that being said, if you had to prioritize one, I would prioritize weight training for the reasons I'm going to go over in this video. We're going to cover some physiology today, especially some muscular physiology, and really just break it down in a simplistic fashion so you can understand it and then apply this information into your lifestyle so you can validate what your training routine should look like on a day-to-day basis based off the information you take from this video. So leave a like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Follow me on Instagram at itsbobbyobrien, or if you want me to fully customize a program that is made just for you that involves a lot of weight training, then feel free to click the link below in the video description and we can book that one-on-one call, have a little Zoom meeting, and go over how I can fully customize that particular program that is made just for you and your anatomy and your limitations. So let's go ahead and get right into the video here. So why resistance training beats cardio for weight loss, right? We're going to go over 2 randomized control trials done in humans. I'm going to kind of pre-frame it before I start going right into the results so you have a good understanding of them, right? So the effect of 12 weeks of aerobic, resistance, or combination exercise training on cardiovascular risk factors in the overweight and obese in a randomized control trial, right? So RCT done in humans, 3 groups in total: aerobic group, resistance training group, and then a combination group that did both. So you're going to see here that the group that did both definitely saw the most in the way of benefits. A 12-week training program comprising of resistance or combination exercise at moderate intensity for 30 minutes, 5 days a week, resulted in improvements in cardiovascular risk profile in overweight and obese participants compared to no exercise. But notice here in the conclusion, it says resistance or combination exercise. It did not say resistance, aerobic, and combination exercise. Why is that? Because you get a much more of a prominent, cardiovascular effect short term, right? With doing 2 sets of heavy goblet squats. Let's say you're, the most you can do on a goblet squat, holding a dumbbell in front of you and squatting. That's what a goblet squat is. Most you can do is 100 pounds. Let's keep it simple. And 70% of your 1 rep max, let's say it's 100, is 70 pounds. You do that for 2 sets, let's say of 8 to 10 reps. Your heart rate is going to be pounding. It's going to feel like you just ran up a hill for 5 minutes straight, nonstop. Now, in order to get to that level on the treadmill, it's going to take a lot more of your time. And if you're a guy that's got a lot going on in a busy schedule, you can't afford to waste your time like me, right? We got to prioritize it. And that's exactly what I do for my clients, and that's what I do for myself too. I can't remember the last time I spent more than 10 minutes on the treadmill, or even spent a second on one, to be completely honest with you. But I digress, right? You get a much more of a prominent cardiovascular effect from weight training in comparison to cardio. And of course, the long-term benefits are certainly good. You get a good aerobic benefit, right? You get a lot more of an endurance benefit that comes with cardio. But the thing is that if we're looking to optimize our ability to lose more weight, we get much more of a prominent metabolic reaction as well. Why does this happen? Because whenever you boost your muscle mass, you boost your metabolic rate because you're making the metabolic sponge that is muscle bigger. And the bigger your muscle mass is, the more in the way of muscular glycogen you have. Muscle glycogen is the storage form of glucose, and glucose is a substrate that is derived from carbohydrates, or it could even come from protein or fat through gluconeogenesis, a process we're not going to talk about today, but gluconeogenesis in English is the generation of glucose. It's a substrate that the body can use, right, for short-term fuel. Now, whenever we have more in the way of muscle mass, the demand for that glucose goes up because there's now more muscular glycogen. The muscle can now store more in the way of glucose, and honestly, quite frankly, needs more in the way of that glucose to actually be able to thrive and function in an optimal manner. So If the demand for it is going to go up, then the metabolic rate is going to go up, and insulin sensitivity is also going to go up because insulin now has to become a little bit more sensitive to the glucose that comes into our body so we could utilize it in a better fashion. And that's exactly what we want if we want to be able to lose weight consistently, right? Because if you've watched some of my videos on Instagram or some of these videos on here, the main root cause of weight gain is a dysregulation of insulin, usually being hyperinsulinemia, insulin staying elevated for a long period of time, and the probability of you storing body fat goes up the longer insulin stays elevated for, right? It's an anabolic hormone that is responsible for fat storage by way of glucose. It can store glucose into the fat cells, and the longer that this insulin hormone stays elevated for, the higher and more likely you are to be able to store more in the way of body fat in the subcutaneous tissue or the visceral fat tissue. Visceral fat being the fat that's built up around your organs, subcutaneous being the fat that you could visibly see around your skin, right? So we don't want that. And whenever we are insulin sensitive, we are sensitive to the glucose that comes into our body, and we can induce this by doing weight training and adding more muscle mass to our body. Now, covering those benefits, can we do it with cardio? We can, but it's not going to be as prominent as an effect, as you can see in this randomized controlled trial that I just referenced right here. The first one, in the conclusion, it shows resistance or combination exercise of moderate intensity for 30 minutes, 5 days a week, resulted in improvements with cardiovascular health, but it did not include aerobics as well, just because resistance training and combination exercise beat it. I would say combination of cardio and resistance training would be the best, right? If you can do it, because your cardio can kind of complement the benefits of your resistance training. If you do some post-workout cardio, no pun intended, you definitely can see some really good benefits that would come that you would not be able to see, from just doing resistance training. So it's definitely a form of training that you want to prioritize if you want to lose weight, right? So if you want to simplistically go over the benefits without, including too much in the way of physiology here, you get a boost in your metabolic rate. You're able to store more in the way of glucose into your muscles, so the demand for that glucose goes up, and we're now more insulin sensitive. And the more insulin sensitive we are, the more likely we are to lose weight, because now insulin is going to be much more regulated, and the likelihood of insulin being dysregulated goes down. You're more than likely not going to be hyperinsulinemic if you're insulin sensitive, in a good way. You're physiologically insulin sensitive. That's a good thing. So all you need to know is that if you're doing weight training, you are getting these benefits, you are getting a boost in your metabolic rate, and you are becoming more insulin sensitive. And quite frankly, those are two things if you optimize for those two things, everything else is taken care of. If you are, working out 4 to 5 times per week with the weight training, and then you're eating a diet that optimizes your insulin response, like we go over in these videos, you will lose weight without a doubt, even if you don't control calories, because we're solving for the root cause of the problem here. The root cause of the problem is a dysregulation in insulin, a constant elevation in insulin leading to hyperinsulinemia. So people that are hyperinsulinemic, those are the people that are really struggling to lose weight consistently. And literally 99% of people that have a weight issue have issues, losing body fat consistently and keeping the number on the scale down and maintaining it, are people that are hyperinsulinemic. Once again, insulin staying elevated for a long period of time. They're constantly storing glucose into their fat cells, and it stays overflown. It's not because they're eating too much. That's way too simplistic. It doesn't identify the root cause, and it's just not true. And it makes absolutely no sense to sit here and say that the reason why 60 to 70% of the American population is overweight is because we're simply eating too much. You think in the 1920s, we were just eating too much? No. We had far more high-quality foods at our disposal, and there's much more garbage now that's really difficult to avoid in this generation that we are in right now. So that's the first randomized controlled trial. Next one basically shows the exact same thing: aerobic training, resistance training, or their combination, once again, basically same theme here, as a means to fight against excess weight and metabolic syndrome in obese students, which is the most effective modality. a randomized control trial. So aerobic training alone is effective in improving BM, right, and body composition. Resistance training alone improves the body composition, but the combination of aerobic and resistance exercises ensures better outcomes for BM, body composition, HDL, and VLDL cholesterol. So, same theme here, right? So, even though aerobic exercise here is shown to be effective, resistance training alone improves body composition, right? It is shown here once again. So the combination of aerobic and resistance exercise ensures better outcomes of body composition and even improvements in HDL and VLDL, right? So it's pretty much the same result, slightly different study here. Looked at, a slightly different group of obese students, so they're a little bit younger, right? So may have had some pre-existing muscle mass already, may have had more of an elevated metabolic rate, which is why they may have seen a little bit more in the way of benefits from aerobic exercise, but it's still the same theme here, right? We are still seeing benefits that come by way of resistance training with body composition, right? Body composition basically meaning what's your fat to muscle ratio look like in terms of your height. That's basically what body composition is in a nutshell without getting, going too far down the rabbit hole, right? Just to keep it simplistic, because we've already gone over a lot in the way of physiology. So these two studies here just clearly show that you can still save your time and still see really good results, not only from a body composition standpoint, but also from a cardiovascular standpoint as well. So you can get the same benefits that you would be seeing from cardio with less time at your disposal, right? And if you're watching this, you most likely don't have that much time. You're a guy that's, really busy, got a lot going on, maybe with family, could be a really busy job, 40 to 60 hours a week. And, really, I make these videos for guys like you, guys like me, that really need to prioritize their time because they're busy with work and they need to make the most out of their resources, right? And if we're going to make the most of our time and actually do some high-yielding tasks that are going to give us some good results with our weight loss, I think that you should be doing what this guy's doing in the picture, which is doing some heavy curls, of course, not going too heavy, going around 60 to 75% of your 1 rep max, right? So if your 1 rep max, going back to that goblet squat analogy, let's say it's 100 pounds. If you're doing 60 to 75% of your 1 rep max, that means you're doing 60 to 75 pounds. Math gets a little bit harder if you use a different number besides 100, but we're going to keep it simple. You do that for 3 to 4 sets, even 5 sets, of a rep range of 8 to 10, or if you do some progressive overload of 10, 8, 6, 5, maybe you add an extra set of 5, you want to work more towards strength with lower reps, then you do a drop set of 10, you're going to be building muscle for sure. As long as you are increasing the weight and you are meeting your rate per exertion. Your rate per exertion is just a fancy word of, how hard you're actually working. So to make this simple, if you're at, let's say you do some pull-ups, you do 10 pull-ups and they're the easiest pull-ups of your life and you could do 100 more, your rate per exertion, right, level of effort is pretty low, right? You didn't have to put in that much effort to do it. Now, if you, let's say, do 50 pull-ups and now you feel like if somebody were to even just hold a gun to your head, you couldn't do 1 to 2 more reps, you're probably falling around an 8, 9, or maybe even a 10 out of 10 rate per exertion, almost maximum effort. So we want to see if you can fall around the medium, right in the middle, right? Good median. Sorry about the English there. Like 6 to 7, and do that consistently. So not only are you optimizing for, effective, just pure efficiency, but you're also making sure that you're staying consistent. You're not working out too intense to the point to where it's going to take you too long to recover, because there's a lot of people that will do 100 pounds on a barbell curl like you're seeing right here, do that for 4 sets of 10, and they'll be at maximum effort, maximum RPE, rate per exertion, each and every set, and then they just completely, botch their biceps and have a really difficult time doing back the next day, have a really difficult time doing any other upper body exercise, right? Any sort of upper body movements, really difficult for them because they're not fully recovered. And sometimes take it so far where the RPE, the rate per exertion, is just so high all the time, they're constantly pushing themselves to their maximum limit, that they're not even getting the benefits from the exercise in the first place, because you have to, you have to induce some level of recovery, right? And if you're not able to do that, if you you have to actually go through the full physiological process of muscular protein synthesis. If you're not able to fully optimize your ability to go through that process, and you're really giving your body a really tough time to recover, you're going for a 10 out of 10 RPE every single time, you're going to just stay stuck. So that's another reason why I tell many guys that they do not need to spend hours in the gym or max out on every single rep. I know we want to push ourselves. I'm guilty of it, wanting to go a little bit too hard sometimes, and maybe doing, 30 extra pounds of the barbell squat, whatever it may be, when I really shouldn't be doing it. I should be training for the next day, right? We should always have a long-term marathon-oriented mindset, because this is a marathon. It's not a sprint, right? We want to keep things realistic. We certainly can lose 8 to 10 pounds per month. It's 100% possible. But it's going to be really difficult to do that if we're just completely killing ourselves in every single workout, spending hours in the gym, and hitting a 10 out of 10 RPE every single time. I feel like that's pretty simple, but I do need to cover that. So if you're doing some weight training, make sure, especially if you're starting out, go for like a 5 to 7 rate per exertion. Do a set of 10, and then ask yourself, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would I give myself, right? Was that a 5, a 6, 7, 8? Was that a little bit too much? Was that like a little bit too little? Then use that information to basically see if you need to scale the weight or not. And then once you find that optimal RPE, that optimal rate per exertion, where you're falling right around a 6 or a 7 at most, stay there. Do your next few sets of 8, next few sets of 10, or keep doing your progressive overload. Like if, let's say you're doing 10, 8, 6, 5, 5, and 10, you're working more towards strength. You get to 6 or 5, and now you're like, okay, I'm probably even close to like an 8. Just stay there. Stay there, and then decrease the weight once you do your drop set of 10. And that's it. You do that consistently. You follow that rule set day in and day out. You will see results. The physiological results I just went over, as well as the, the results that will basically come from being insulin sensitive, having a boost in your metabolic rate, right? Which are things that are going to help you lose more weight consistently and see the number on the scale go down, right? So, of course, if you're somebody that's like, okay, I actually need something that's fully customized, to me, I don't want to just like walk into the gym and have, this big plan, I need the structure. Of course, that takes time as well to actually structure out your workouts, to make sure you're targeting each and every muscle group, not only just targeting it, but actually training it effectively. That's where I can actually save you a hell of a lot of time and fully customize a program that looks like this. So luckily, I have some really good information I've gathered over the past 5 years on how to structure a really good weight training routine that targets each and every muscle group each and every week. And if you're watching this, you're probably a guy that wants to see more in the way of weight loss results, but you might be limited on time to actually, construct a really good workout program that is effective and has some good weight training exercises. There's a lot of exercises in here with the, example that I'm using here for one of my clients, that basically targets, really specific layers of each and every muscle group so that he can get the best metabolic rate possible, right? In this particular client right here, Chris, talked about him plenty of times. I'm very open for using his profile as an example, but lost 36 pounds inside 3.5 months, was losing 10 pounds per month. And he was following this same structure that I give many of my other clients, of course, in accordance with their limitations, their anatomy, and their specific weight loss goals, and their lifestyle, and everything else. But this is a really, really good way to save a whole lot of your time, because I can basically fully customize a program for you that is well structured, that targets each and every muscle group each week, so you can get all the benefits that we just went over, of boosting your metabolic rate, insulin sensitivity, and more weight loss. And the thing is that it does take a lot of time to actually construct these workouts. Knowing how to actually target each and every layer of your bicep and tricep, your chest and your shoulders, and whatnot. Because it is kind of important to actually target each and every layer of each muscle group so you can actually fully optimize your metabolic potential. So that's exactly what I would like to do for you. And if you would like to get a fully customized program like this and much, much more, feel free to book a link, or feel free to book a call at the link below the video description. I'll fully customize a plan that is made just for you. So that is it for this video. Feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at itsbobbyobrien, Or once again, if you want to have a fully customized program just like this on your phone and a whole lot more, feel free to click that link below and actually book your one-on-one call with me. And we can basically go over the roadmap, fully customize the plan for you, gather some information, and then get you your program in days so we can get started right away so you can see results right now. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video.